Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Excalibur Roundtable Tech Talk. I am Mike Fuson. This is part of our extended Tech Talk series with our friends at ConnectNow. I'm joined by Ash Carr from ConnectNow. Ash, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me.
And we're going to continue our dive into the various features and functions that make up the ConnectNow chat platform. And the feature we're talking about today is canned responses. And it's interesting because as you and I have had so many conversations around ConnectNow and what went into designing it, it was that customer experience that you were so focused on, which is not only the end user customer experience, but also the agent customer experience, and making this something that's easy for the agent to use. And when you start to think about canned responses give you the ability to do the niceties in the beginning, but also are tied to certain technical topics where there may be standard questions that we need to ask. Rather than having to type them every time, we can ask that standard question if it's not something the customer, say, provides us in there. I think about myself using chat a lot of times. Since I'm technical, I'll provide a lot of detail for the technician. But then I need a canned response that says, "Okay, give me a moment while I kind of look into this," right? As they're like, "Okay, you just wrote me two paragraphs. Let me read this and take it in because you may have answered most of the questions that I might have, or maybe you haven't answered any questions. You're just saying you have a problem with X," and that helps to drive those capabilities for me as a technician. And as we think about canned responses, one of the things that also helps us with is as we've seen and done the research on ConnectNow and the other things that technicians are going to do, and we've gathered information from customers that are using it and customers that are leveraging the platform, is that a typical technician has the ability as a person, ability within the system to handle multiple chats at the same time. And I think about, okay, how do you do that? And then I started really thinking about use case type scenarios. You may have a chat come in and you've asked them a question and they're looking up a piece of information or are a bit slow to respond. I think about when I'm using chat, usually I'm multitasking because I know the technician on the other end may have to pull stuff up in a system or get to where they're going, but I may be able to handle another chat that's come in where somebody wants a password reset, and I can throw out a few canned responses and start affecting that password reset while I'm waiting for this piece of information to come back, and I can move back and forth because most individuals, as we've done our interviews and our conversations, their expectation is chat's not an instant gratification thing. Um, Chat is something where they're going to be able to go back and forth and fairly quickly. If it takes you 3 minutes to get your password reset, the world didn't end. And you had no idea that that technician might have been doing three chats at the same time. And they saw your thing, they executed their script, they were waiting for the script to come back, they answered a question over here, the scripts come back as reset, and they say, "Hey, I've reset your password, here's your temporary password." So it's all the ability to kind of move back and forth. But the canned responses help us as a technician to be able to juggle those couple of balls and be highly efficient, and not have long wait times for people to be able to be talking with somebody. And so let's without further ado, let's dive into it and kind of look at how the canned responses are really going to be a huge benefit to me as a technician. So take it away, Ash.
Sure thing. Right, let's jump right in and look at a couple of canned responses. And you've already hit the use cases really, really well. So canned responses are in the bottom left of the agents window. And you can see here that we've got some categories: greetings, phrases, utilities. So this is exactly what you were talking about earlier on. The use cases here are, a user has started a chat, bombarded you with a large amount of information, and now you just need to take a moment to digest that information. We can see if we hover over the actual option here the chat input at the bottom of the screen will preview with what text is going to be sent to the customer. We do some niceties like injecting the customer's name just for that sort of personal touch. It makes it feel a little bit less robotic. Of course, we show things by title just to make it a bit easier for the agent. And the reason we don't see too much on the left-hand side here is that we also scope these canned responses to the relevant skill set. This is to make sure that we don't, again, bombard the agent with unnecessary information. There's no reason for me to see the password reset canned responses here because this isn't a password reset chat. We do see remote access support, of course, because this is a remote access sort of query. And you've already alluded that the real use here is for those bespoke use cases, for repeat cases that happen again and again, and it could be a deeply technical issue. One of the interesting facts as well is that the usage of these is logged and therefore ranked. So we can see which ones are useful, which ones are used a lot, which ones aren't used at all. That may identify that it's either in the wrong category, perhaps the title's incorrect, or perhaps it's just not used and it could be removed. One of the final exciting things to talk about with canned responses is in a very near update, I think it's in a couple of weeks, agents also have the ability to add their own into the system directly here, as opposed to just the admin ones that are programmed in by the administrators for all agents. So then everybody gets the best of both worlds.
And it's so exciting because we're seeing the platform continue to grow and expand, and much of the focus has been on customer feedback, features that customers may like, and that may spin into, well, we're going to give them this feature, let's give them these couple of other features too, because these may be things that are useful. But again, it's driving that agent experience to make that easy. And in the example we saw on the screen where we picked it, it filled it in for us and said, hey, Sarah, are you using an RSA token or are you using a cell phone app? And that helps us as a technician because maybe if their second factor isn't working, is the second factor set correctly? Being that we work with a lot of our customers and we'll have remote access into their systems to get to a VDI or whatnot. Yes, some are by RSA keys, some are by an app, some are a text message that gives me my second authentication factor, my code. And if it's set wrong and it's set to RSA and I don't have an RSA key, that's a problem. Or maybe I do, and I think about a recent experience that I had where unbeknownst to me, I had really thought about it, but RSA keys expire. They have an expiry date on them. And my RSA key had expired and I didn't know it because I hadn't connected for a month or so. And of course, when I called in, they said, yeah, we had reached out to you to confirm your address, but you hadn't needed to be in, so you didn't see it in your email, and we'll get you out one right away. Can I confirm your address? And got overnighted an RSA key and I was back in business, right then and thereafter. But that's driving that customer experience and being able to help the technician ask the right questions. And when I think about it, it's also you're able to on the administrator side kind of formulate those responses in a way that's, like you said, friendly. Injecting the person's first name into it, or injecting other details into it to make it less robotic, more friendly, and a great customer experience. And so just another, you start to look at all of these little features that we've covered that are part of ConnectNow, and it's what makes up the whole platform, and the whole capability that we're now able to bring to the table from an omni-channel perspective, and make it a great experience for both the customer and for the agent, and not just be limited to a telephone call or some sort of self-service site where we can sort of kind of chat because we're passing messages in the system back and forth, but it's not real time, which is what this chat is. You're chatting with an agent who can help you and probably very quickly affect resolution. So I just get so excited about this stuff. I'm sorry. I
Me too.
bow down. Bow down to the father and inventor of ConnectNow. It's just as I see more and more of it, I see how it can have such an impact on an organization's ability to
Mm,
deliver a great customer experience, and
mm.
let the
It's about
customer
making it
choose.
better for everybody at the end of
Yeah,
the day.
absolutely.
You already alluded to those cutting the corners, taking the time to cut the times down, the interaction times alone. You see a massive increase in resource utilization in terms of efficiency. You're no longer having one conversation, you're having three or four, and you're able to type these things much faster than you would do traditionally. And that all adds up. And it's what a lot of the things sort of combine together for the overall benefit.
And you think of how chat is used so often, um, from a customer perspective. A lot of the inquiries that are going to come in are not things that are going to take 20 minutes to explain. They're going to be those things that the customer feels probably are pretty quick to get fixed. That's not
Mm-hmm.
always the case, but they're easy enough to explain. I'm not going to try to explain something where I've got to type 27 paragraphs to try to explain the problem because it's so weird. We're not saying this is a replacement for. This is in addition to your other channels of communication. And so I'm so excited as we continue to dive into these. Thanks for joining us today and sharing canned responses with us. And look for us in another episode as we continue to dive into all of the features and all of the capabilities that make up the ConnectNow platform. Ash, thank you.
Cheers, mate. Take care.